أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Viewers, welcome to the program Our Pledge. This program is dedicated to the teaching of the conditions of initiation into Islam Ahmadiyya, the true Islam. Today is the very first episode of the program, and we are privileged to be joined by Maulvi Umar Farouk. Maulvi Umar Farouk is the head of administration and also in charge of local missionaries at the headquarters of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission here in Accra. Maulvi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Maulvi, you will help us to understand what is meant by a pledge.
Jazakumullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim innaka Hamidun Majid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. A pledge is a promise which is synonymous in meaning to an oath or a vow, or an oath and a vow, though they may have different focuses. I'll give you an example of an oath, which is a swearing in the presence of God with regards to a commitment one is making to one or more people to tell the truth or to be a witness in front of people. It might be a jury or in court, but this will be a very solemn undertaking a person is making. This meaning is within all the three, whether it is a pledge or it is a vow or it is an oath. But a vow is making a promise before God, committing oneself to do something which must be done by all means.
So here in Islam Ahmadiyya we have a pledge.
Certainly, we do have a pledge. We pledge in the name of God to uphold Islam. Once you become a Muslim, your first pledge that you take is the Shahada, which is to say that I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant and messenger. This is a pledge. When you are taking an oath, which is preceded by I bear witness, this becomes a pledge.
So when does one take a pledge in Ahmadiyya?
Well, a person becomes a Muslim with the pledge that I talk about. An Ahmadi is a Muslim. So he takes his first pledge at that time when he is becoming an Ahmadi Muslim. And then there is this time he has to make what is known as the Bai'at. Bai'at is called an ahad in Arabic, which is also bearing these meanings that I have given us. Some people translate it to mean a pledge, some people translate it to mean an oath, some people they call it a vow, some even say allegiance, and so many other meanings that are synonymous to the first one, a pledge. There are so many meanings we can give. Dedication is also one of it, and so many others.
Okay, so if one is a Muslim already and want to come into the fold of Ahmadiyya, does that person have to take the pledge in Ahmadiyya?
Certainly. You know, pledge is something that will make a person commit himself to a particular cause. And in Islam, certainly we have got organizations and people pledge to those organizations. Some of them are political and some of them are religious. Islam Ahmadiyyat certainly is religious. And once you want to be part and parcel of Ahmadiyyat, you must pledge to uphold the dignity and the position of Islam Ahmadiyyat. And then you must also pledge to follow the teachings and the way of interpretation of the whole Quran and the ahadith and sunnah of the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam by the holy founder of Ahmadiyya movement. And a person also certainly has to take an oath. That is the pledge of allegiance before the Khalifa, who is the head of the Ahmadiyya movement presently in his hands. And then he will pledge obedience to him. Then pledging to God through him to uphold the norms of Islam and not going out of them. So it is important for an Ahmadi, a person who is becoming an Ahmadi, to make this pledge. When you are making this pledge, it is something very solemn that you are committing yourself to and not going to turn your back on your pledge thereafter.
Maulvi will come to you
Of course, if you take your solemn pledge in your heart, you feel it's solemn, and we feel it the same way for you, it is because you must have prayed over it, you must have understood what you are going to do, and you have taken it. But if there is any time you feel that your understanding was very little, you have not understood so much, and you want to go back, there is no force. You have your own human rights, which is also your religious rights. You can go back without anybody questioning you. But it is always our prayers that once a person has taken this pledge, he should know how to keep this pledge. Yeah.
We will come to you again, but we will go onto the streets of Accra to speak to a cross-section of the public.
Well, I find a pledge to be a sort of binding agreement between two parties. That is what I think a pledge is, yeah. I think people pledge their allegiance to a particular organization because of, I think, on the part of the organization wants to ensure that that particular person making the pledge sticks to the commitment in the pledge, or maybe the person sticks to a particular agreement in a document. And the person might also want to pledge, on the part of the person doing the pledging, might also want to pledge so that more or less the person is always compelled to satisfy a particular requirement in the company. So that's why I think people pledge.
If you say about pledges, it means that you are telling yourself, you are telling somebody that you want to honor a particular promise to the person. Or if it's a God that you are pledging to, or an individual, you are telling, you want to fulfill a particular promise to the person. So whatever promise you want to fulfill, it is within a specific time. And most of the time, pledges have time. The time can be very long and the time can be very short. So depending on the pledge that you give, meaning that you are committed to do what you want to do. Are you getting it? So whatever pledge you want to pledge, it means that you must honor it. Honoring the pledge is the most important thing, because every pledge has some form of covenant attached to it. And you not fulfilling that particular pledge, meaning that you are bringing some form of, disaster on yourself. So it's better you fulfill the pledge, because most people pledge and they run away. They pledge and then they run. They say, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, and they don't do it. And what you are telling yourself that there are consequences that follow it. So it is very important that when you pledge, you fulfill that thing that you have said you want to do.
So, some of you are back to the studios.
Yes.
Why is it necessary for people to pledge in an organization?
Thank you. When I was answering the first question, I told us that it was a commitment, a dedication. So you will see that a person of necessity must have to pledge when you want to go into an agreement, an undertaking, in this case with God. It is necessary. Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi giving us the meaning of a pledge, we may get the meaning, the answer to what you have just asked from it. He says that Bai'at, which is an ahad, a pledge, as I said in the beginning, truly means to sell oneself. You see, you sell yourself to God. You see why you need, it is important for a person to pledge. You have sold yourself to your Creator, and you don't have any control over yourself any longer. Without making this pledge of allegiance or commitment or dedication, you do not have this feeling in you. But once you have made it, then you begin to feel this spiritual or spirituality in you, that you yourself does not belong to you. Your soul does not belong to you. You are belonging to God, and whatever way God wants to control you, you have to obey. So you are pledging for obedience to the rule or law or regulation of your Creator. So it is very important that a person understands this when he is making the pledge. So a person, Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ says that truly sells himself or herself, and he says its blessings and impact are based on that condition, that you feel that you are actually selling yourself. You know, when you sell something, you have, say, a gold nugget in your hand, and you are letting it out to somebody in order to barter it and take something from him. That gold nugget never remains yours any longer.
Yes.
It is for the person from whom you have taken an exchange for the gold nugget. And for this reason, you have to forget about that gold nugget. And whatever way the person uses it, if he wishes, he may simply throw it into the bush. It is not concerning you any longer. It is none of your business. So now, when you have sold yourself to God, then you forget about your own self. Let everything concerning you be in the hands of God. And Hazrat Masih Maud says that just as a seed is sown into the ground, imagine this. Its original condition is that the hand of the farmer has sown it. But it is not known what will happen to it. As for the hand of the farmer, what was in his hands is what he has put in the ground. But the rest is left to the future. The tendering of the ground, getting water to feed the ground, it might be rain, it might be irrigation, whatever be the case. The conditions that are created for this seed to germinate, that is what you wait for. And then this seed sprouts. Hazrat Masih Maud then says that if the seed is of good quality and possesses the capacity to grow, then with the grace of Allah the Almighty, and as a consequence of the work done by the farmer, it grows until one grain turns into 1,000 grains. You see, just one grain is thrown away into the ground. You have sold yourself, it's like throwing yourself away. It is now up to God to turn you. You must forget about your own conscience now, because your thoughts, your feelings, and all that, you let that become dormant. And let yourself be in the hands of God to control you. One time I said that one of our sages has said that you have made a Bai'at, it's like you have become a dead body in the hands of a washer, the one who washes the dead body.
Yes.
Now, this dead body cannot resist because there is no life in it. Wherever the washer wants, he turns the dead body. It is on his will, not the will of the dead body. So this is how it is. You sell yourself to God, you have come out of your body. Let the body rot like that seed you have put into the ground. It gets rotten. But what comes out of it, that is wonderful. Now, Hazrat Masih Maud will tell us more about that, alayhi salatu wasalam. He says that similarly, the person taking Bai'at has to first adopt lowliness and humility, and has to distance himself from his ego and selfishness. That's what I was saying. Your conscience, your everything, you let it go. You don't have to uphold those any longer. Then that person becomes fit for growth. When you allow this your body to rot, letting the soul to be in the hands of God, then it will become purified for the blessings it will receive from God. And this is very important for the person making Bai'at to know. But he who continues to hold on to his ego, along with taking Bai'at, will never receive any grace. This clip has been taken from Malfuzat, volume 6, page 173.
Let's say a chief has undertaken a pledge, and we are here told you should be humble, you should forget your pride, your ego, your whatnot. How can that be?
Well, if a chief has taken a pledge to maybe his subjects, then the chief must uphold his honor as a chief. What chief is that will promise and fail his people? Even we hear on our radios on daily basis how political figures are being lambasted every day because of pledges people feel that they have made and they are not fulfilling them. Some may even not be true, but still people feel that that is their understanding of whatever someone must have said somewhere. So they are portraying it to be so.
They will construct roads, they will build schools.
That's right. It is important that a leader must know that he is a leader. If you demand fulfillment of pledges from your subjects, you should be the first person to show the way how pledges are fulfilled. So it is important. You must uphold your dignity and you must uphold your credibility. Let the people know that truly you are their leader. As the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, Sayyidul Qawm Khadimuhum, the leader, the head of the nation is actually their servant. So I see no reason why a servant should not be able to help those he serves.
Maulvi, we are still on the program, our pledge, and we want to know, in Islam, we have the Quran and the Hadith. Are they not enough for Ahmadis? They have to take this condition of initiation?
Well, I believe the question should have rather been, why is it necessary for Muslims to pledge? because as I told you right in the beginning, Ahmadis are Muslims, we are Ahmadi Muslims. That is our name. And pledging is not a new thing to Islam. If you see in the Holy Quran, the Quran in chapter 60, which is Surah Al-Mumtahana, verse 13, according to our numbering, it is said that Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبايعنك على أن لا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن أولادهن ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترينه بين أيديهن وأرجلهن ولا يعصينك في معروف فبايعهن واستغفر لهن الله إن الله غفور رحيم. Now this means that, O Prophet, when believing women come to thee, taking the oath of allegiance at thy hands that they will not associate anything with Allah, and that they will not steal, and will not commit adultery, nor kill their children, nor bring forth a scandalous charge which they themselves have deliberately forged, nor disobey thee in what is right, then accept their allegiance and ask Allah to forgive them. Verily Allah is most forgiving, merciful. So you see that right from the beginning of Islam, Bai'at has been there. But this is not the only occasion that the Holy Prophet ﷺ would be taking Bai'at. Right in the beginning, we have in history that somewhere in the 10th or 11th year of the call of the Holy Prophet of Islam ﷺ, he took Bai'at from 6 gentlemen who came from Yathrib at Aqaba. And at the same time, we also see that somewhere in the 12th, 13th year of the call, he took Bai'at from about 75 people who also came from Yathrib. And they pledged obedience to him. They pledged to protect him as they will protect their families. So you see, it is an age-old practice in Islam that a person wants to commit yourself in Islam, you go into Islam through the system of Bai'at. And every true group of Islam will do the same thing. We have the Sufi organizations. They also perform Bai'at, but their Bai'at is to get connected with the head of the Sufi organization. We pledge almost the same. Almost, I say almost, because we are doing the same Bai'at as did the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At the same time, we also pledge unflinching obedience to our Khalifa. You see, it is necessary to do this because the Khalifa has to present or enact rules and regulations interpreting the whole Quran and sayings of the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam as interpreted by Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam. He will present them to us Ahmadis, and we have to act upon them the way he has interpreted them.
Yes.
How do we commit ourselves to whatever he tells us until we view him in the light of the Bai'at that we have performed? It is important that we make this Bai'at of obedience as well as commitment to the teachings of Islam and the interpretation of Islam by Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam as presented to us by the Khalifa. in this case, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, ayyadahullah ta'ala bin Nasrul Aziz. It will be very hard for you to say that you are ready to obey him, which you have said in the conditions of Bai'at, in everything necessary, or everything good, and at the same time you tend to disobey him, then your Bai'at is not standing.
Maulvi Farouk, we will come to you again, but we will go onto the streets of Accra again and ask the people whether they've undertaken any form of pledge for an organization before.
Yes, of course. For my church, I pledge a lot. I pledge a lot. I tell myself, sometimes I go to the and I tell him, this is what I want to do for him. This is what I want to do for the church. And I make sure I do it. Yes, I put my full self into it in doing it because I know the implication. And there are sometimes they will say, oh, pledge, do this. I don't want to involve them because I know at that moment I don't have the capacity, so I don't involve myself because I know the consequences that follow it. That is why I don't pledge. And there are sometimes I pledge, yeah.
I don't think I have any pledge with any organization. For my organization, I can say it's an agreement. I wouldn't call it a pledge. It's not so binding. It's not much of a binding promise I'm making to them. So it's how do you call it? It's an agreement. And I'm not married, so I cannot say that I've pledged my life to someone. So I think I am in an agreement with my job, but not necessarily a pledge. Yeah.
Thank you so much for staying with us, viewers. Maulvi is here with me in the studios, and today we are talking about, or we are discussing the conditions of initiation into Islam Ahmadiyya, which is the pledge. Maulvi, what are some of the benefits there is to somebody who undertakes a pledge?
Before I touch on this, let me also say that the period of Bai'at of the beginning of Islam that I gave us, I want to give us another example, which is normally referred to by people, so that it is very clear that in Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat we are doing nothing anti-Islamic. We have this scenario where the Holy Prophet ﷺ sees in a vision that he is performing the Hajj, and he informs his companions, and they went forward having it in their mind that they were going to perform the Hajj. Somewhere on their way at a place known as Hudaybiyah, they were stopped. And it was also told to him by people that his envoy that he has sent to Mecca, Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that the Meccans had killed him. Now this was a very serious situation. The Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam called his companions together and he took bay'ah from them. Now we have this mentioned in the whole Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Fath that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ فَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَثَابَهُمْ فَتْحًا قَرِيبًا. Now this means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he was very pleased with the believers who made bay'ah under the tree in the hands of the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah knew what was in their hearts. He gave them solace in their hearts. He brought down solace, peace in their hearts. And then he gave them a victory which was very near. Now this also tells us that in the beginning of Islam, not only that bay'ah was made, but that Allah was pleased with that bay'ah. You see how it is?
Yes.
So Allah Himself was pleased with the Bai'ah. So whoever will make Bai'ah, reflecting the Bai'ah of the Holy Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, certainly Allah will be pleased with you. So I just want to buttress my first point, that Bai'ah is necessary and it makes the people commit themselves. Now, when those people made the Bai'ah at Hudaybiyah, they had committed themselves to even shed their last blood until they avenge Hazrat Uthman. But Allah has got His own ways. That apparent setback actually became a victory. You see, so Muslims later on conquered Mecca without shedding blood. This was what God wanted. There was a truce. Apparently, the truce was in the favor of the Meccans, but the Muslims had to keep to themselves. They were patient, and they accepted whatever useless things the Meccans said. And God turned all that to victory for Islam.
Okay. So quickly before we go, we look at some of the benefits of a pledge and the punishments that comes with it.
Yes, that was your question.
Yes.
Yes. Now, when we make a pledge, we bind ourselves to the cause of Islam. And this pledge we have made make us united as a force in our spiritual undertaking. And this Bai'ah also molds us morally, so that our way of going about things in the society is identified by everybody. A good tree will always bring good fruits. That is how it is. You have made a Bai'ah, you have made your society committed to a cause. Every single person of the society is committed to that cause, and that brings about the unity in you. This is a great blessing. Because without unity, everything falls helter-skelter.
Maulvi, we thank you so much for your time today on the program. You've been listening to Maulvi Umar Farouk. He's the head of administration and also in charge of local missionaries at the headquarters of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission here in Accra. Today we've been discussing the pledge, a pledge in Ahmadiyya Muslim, or the pledge in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and we're privileged to be joined by Maulvi Umar Farouk. We shall meet with him sometime on the program to talk on another issue on the program. This has been me, Abdul Hamid Amponsah, here in Accra. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Kamantong kabatuahi na venkumoye. Kamantong kabatuahi na venkumo. Amantong kabatuahi na venkumo. Nana.